Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dustin Cormier, and you're watching How to Rock Astrology. Today's episode, we are going to be discussing the combination of Libra Moon with Scorpio Venus. And this is Venus in the Moon's second house. And this is an okay position. It's always good when the Moon and Venus are not in any drastic conjunctions or anything like that. Although if these two planets are conjunct, if the Moon is at the end of Libra and Venus is at the beginning of Scorpio, there can be a conjunction there, which is not considered good in Vedic astrology. The reason is because the Moon is a more instinctive primary need in us. And when the Moon and Venus are conjunct, the Moon will always obstruct. It will always grab for its own needs first, and it will be so deep that it cannot satisfy them in its external reality because it's starving Venus, according to Vedic astrology. But if there's no conjunction, then that won't be a problem. So today we're talking about Moon in Libra with Venus in Scorpio. First, let's just talk a little bit about all these planets together, including the Sun. This is a little intro I'm giving for the series. If the Sun is the king, then the Moon is the queen. The Sun is our basic inner nature, and that is involved with all of these romantic placements that we're talking about. Now, the Moon is a crescent sliver of our Sun's inner nature. It's our earthly subconscious whose sign, house, and aspects reveal the form that our Sun energy subsides through. So this is kind of like a classic husband and wife going on inside of all of us. Regardless of your gender, we got to understand these archetypes as yin and yang archetypes outside of whatever gender you identify with. There is still an animus and an anima inside of all of us. So the husband, the king, the Sun, our inner nature, he is what he is. But the husband is refined by his wife, the Moon, the queen, who gives a rhythm and a healthy ceiling and a realistic ceiling for the Sun's potentials when the Moon is working properly. It gives us an actual human form with limits, with appropriate personalities that can be conveyed in an earthly way healthily and is not necessarily just pure energy. Like, for example, the Sun, the husband says, honey, I feel like eating some blueberry pie. And the wife says, well, honey, you know what that does to your blood sugar. Without that Moon, without that wife, the Sun could just do whatever it wants, but it actually can't. It will not be served by being its pure Sun energy. There's a realistic rhythm where if this person has like diabetes, then he can't eat that pie. In the same way, whatever your Sun sign is, your Moon sign has needs. It has a limit. It has a personality that needs to be accounted for. So if we didn't need to eat or sleep or have sex or enjoy friendship or enjoy subjective meaning in life, etc., and the people have a life outside of what we do, then we could just infinitely express our Sun and just work our butts off, enjoying what we like to be at the peak of our energy. But that's not the case. We have to sleep. We have to eat. And we have to go to bed. And when we go off to bed, the person that we want around and with us in our lives, outside of what we do at noon as our main life energy, the Sun, the Moon is what we do when we're not doing that. So we need to eat. We need to sleep. We need to have sex to a certain degree. So if anybody wants to get in touch with our personal quarters, they have to go through the Queen, i.e., the Moon. Venus is the Sun's self-enjoyment style. Venus is how we express affection. It's our Sun's outgoing desire. But whatever Venus attracts is subject to the subconscious reaction complex of our Moon. Now, Today, as I said, we're talking about Libra Moon, Scorpio Venus. Now, this is going to be my my own notes on this sign combination. Libra Moon, we're going to talk about how it enjoys being a receptive person, and it looks to have a receptive person who understands its receptivity, who understands the need for our need for that receptivity. The moon in Libra wants a partner who can give a sense of subjective fulfillment in life, who gives up an enjoyable form. And if this moon is not afflicted, if it's relatively healthy, then it is going to go about that by actually enjoying its own receptive energy and simply putting it out there, simply moving by it, taking it on, and even just kind of serving people in a way. But serving them by understanding, taking time to understand what it is that they are and what it is that they are putting out there. That's what Libra Moon is really all about. So it will be a sensitive person, somebody who it wants to be sensitive to the other person's wants and needs and desires, and to cater to them. Libra Moon enjoys feeling like it is being like its activity of being listening and being receptive is fulfilling the needs of the other person, and they'd like to know that the other person is receptive in this way. It makes the Libra Moon person feel comfortable. Venus, by being in Scorpio, is kind of in the second house from the moon in Libra. Venus in Scorpio likes to be admired. It expresses affection through a powerful, drawn-in psychic anticipation of what the Venus in Scorpio wants, as well as what the other person wants. Venus in Scorpio is a water Venus. It's a little bit more reflective. It doesn't, the moon in Libra wants to know what you want. Venus in Scorpio is hoping that the two of you are on the same wavelength so that the moon in Libra person needs to vocalize it as little as possible. The moon in Libra desires to be reflective and to be appreciated for its anticipation of the mutual needs in the relationship. Venus in Scorpio wants to do it without asking, wants to anticipate it, and wants the other person to reflect an enjoyment of that anticipation. Venus in Scorpio, so this can really make a person who is kind of in along a lot of ways. The Venus is building on the Venus in Scorpio is psychologically building the resources of the Libra moon. The resources is the moon's understanding of itself and what itself is to the other person. And this is you're building a long laundry list. The Venus in you enjoys, this is a recreational pursuit that you probably enjoy. You're probably like a people watcher. You're somebody who naturally is observing everything around you from the Libra moon, but the Scorpio Venus psychologically deeply wants to build in a fixed way a knowledge base, an experience base, and even an instinctive genetic memory bank of being useful to the partner, being actually something that can be utilized by the partner. Scorpio is ruled by Mars. It's like it's a tool. It's a burrowing through Earth. It's a tool that can be used. So, not to say that you are somebody who is going to be used in the traditional bad way that we associate it, but You are probably somebody who is an open glove looking to be fitted in the hand of somebody else's will and somebody else's constant personality. And the more that the partner can use you, the more that you're building on the second house from your moon. The moon being an important emotional thing, the second house from the moon being a resource of your emotional needs. A resource of Libra moon's emotional needs is what it can do for other people. Scorpio, second house, right? So it's an interesting play out. So before we start talking more about the Venus in Scorpio, let's have one word about the moon in Libra. This is in particular, we're going to be talking about the erotic nature of moon in Libra in bed. This comes from Erotic Astrology by Phyllis Vega. What is the nature of moon in Libra like in bed? Your approach to lovemaking is glamorous and alluring. You appreciate the intricate rituals of old-fashioned courtship, and you enjoy being wooed with finesse and sophistication. This is the moon in Libra, liking to see the gesture of things. And in fact, you like it, and you'll probably also display it, and you'll build again on a knowledge base of how you can do this for your other partner, kind of hoping that they're going to do the same thing for you. Because the moon in Libra is reflective in this way. It wants both, whatever it does, it wants the other person to do at some level. Although the moon in Libra in you can kind of be okay with the other person not putting in the same amount of effort that you do, because Libra is a servile kind of like trying to serve the other person kind of energy. So you do appreciate the intricate rituals of old-fashioned courtship and enjoy being wooed with finesse and sophistication. Libra moon has sex and romance intertwined in their mind. So you prefer artful seduction over a carnal free-for-all. Although, to be fair, the Venus and Scorpio in you probably will find that you don't instinctively look for sexual things in a partner, but because the moon in Libra is actually a clean, it's not necessarily a kinky vibe. Moon in Libra is actually more romantic than anything, as we can see here. You prefer artful seduction and meaningfulness and a person who's using their words properly and concisely and in a way that would get you. Like it would probably, if you were to look at some beefy, if you are either a woman or a homosexual man or whatever who is attracted to guys, and you see some big guy who's all meaty and beefy, that might not instinctively get you fired up as much as like a softer guy who's kind of caters, who's listening to you, who's well dressed and kind of refined. But if that refined guy kind of has a wink in his eye, like I can take you to town when they do feel like it, and have a good sexual time, a good carnal appetite, that will unfold in you. That's like a secret gift of yours. It's a secret that you keep in your back pocket that people can smell, because Venus in Scorpio perpetuates its affection style. So everybody knows that you would be a good rock and roll time in the sack, but you don't socially apply yourself to that personality. It's something that you kind of keep like in the tongue in cheek almost, It's like you've got a little handkerchief in your pocket that says like I'm a good time, but you keep it in your back pocket and nobody ever sees it on the front. Moon in Libra. For the moon in Libra, your erotic sensuality emerges most readily in a sumptuous setting that engages all the senses. Luxurious bedding, sultry nightwear, soft music, flickering candles, fresh flowers, all of these things where the partner is thinking about external things that would entice you. These all add spice to your lovemaking. A special night dedicated to love in a romantic setting with moonlight and whispered words of adoration. This would serve as a genuine turn-on, and affectionate gestures and loving words draw out your passions and get your sexual juices flowing. And this is true. The romance of it, the soft speech, talking to a person in a way where it's all seductive and it's not just like, oh yeah, baby, it's so good, it's so good, it's so good, you know, like a guy just doing that, like, you know, almost like more like the Aries sort of thing, like, oh, it's so good, it's so good. The moon in Libra kind of wants to see like, oh, darling, nobody has ever done this to me in this way, and just grabbing the face and the soft sensuality and all these things. You know, these whispered words of adoration, these can be a slow turn on. Really, it's the type of person, it's the type of consciousness that you want to exist around all the time. Really, when you think of it, you are a nice person, and or you put off the vibe of like a soft, reflective person. And when you have your partner and you're talking to them, this receptiveness still has a strong, fixed scorpionic energy of enjoyment. It's whatever you enjoy big. And whatever you do for your partner, whenever you both feel a big enjoyment of some sort, the Scorpio Venus in you unfolds it big time. Right? It's like, if we're going to have sex big time. If we're going to have, you know, like a nice romantic night, and, you know, it's not necessarily about the sex, it's about like us like chilling out and going out on a date night, you're going to be big on that too. Especially the whole time trying to listen for what seeing in the Scorpio Venus, being reflective on how the person is experiencing each step along the way. Scorpio Venus is a very like almost a dude, you know, cool, chillin' dude kind of like personality. Even in women, it's this sort of like, you know, it's like Martian, like shoulders rolled back, kind of like having fun, like can almost even be adventurous because Scorpio is ruled by Mars, but it's an adventurousness that takes a turn on like internally, adventuring through like the psychology of the other person and thinking about deep things. You're probably the type of person, especially with the moon in Libra, likes to sit either having a beer or watching the stars and thinking about what is life all about, what's it mean, talking about the other person's traumas, and almost even being able to help the person be the strongest person that they could be. Venus in Scorpio wants to enjoy that in them, being able to help other people uplift themselves. They want to enjoy that in themselves. So it is an interesting combination of reflectiveness, really a lot of reflectiveness, combined with a passion and a detachment of enjoyment of its own sort, of enjoyment of whatever it is that it's enjoying. The second house factor really has this sort of like erotic enjoyment of what the moon is implied in it. Scorpio is the second house of Libra. Scorpio is the erotic values of Libra. And so the moon is going to be getting what it needs from its partner through this sort of erotic and even deeply aesthetically shared sort of stability. This is you're probably a person who wants to deeply feel like your partner likes the same movies that you do, wears the same clothes, vibes to the same era. You know, like I'm like Mr. 70s guy, you know, and if I had this combination, I would probably want my partner to reflect a cultural trope which is aesthetically harmonious with what I happen to put out there, which is like a very 70s kind of archetype, you know? So the eras and decades that people live and embody is something that you might be interested in. So I've talked a lot about it in my own words. Let's read from Erotic Astrology by Phyllis Vega. We're going to be talking about the moon in Libra with Venus and Scorpio combined. Those born under this combination are an unusual blend of passion, Venus and Scorpio, and detachment, moon in Libra, secrecy, and sociability. It's again, the Venus in Scorpio wants to be admired for knowing that specific thing about you. But the moon in Libra can also deal socially with everybody. Wants to be able to kind of vibe with everybody, wants to take things easy. So that's an enjoyable aspect of this person. When you're taking things easy, you're taking things easy, but you're also capable of going deep and hard into one specific person's mood, groove, need, aesthetic tone, whatever it might be. The Scorpion adds ardor and intensity to Libra's romantic idealism. You long for a permanent union, but you need to feel comfortable and in control before you commit yourself. This is coming from Libra and Scorpio. You need to feel comfortable and in control before you commit yourself. Really, the Venus in the second house also reflects on this. We should say the second house from the moon. The moon's, the second house is like our erotic psyche generally. So the second house from the moon would be kind of like the erotic psyche of our emotions. And Venus being in the second from the moon really shows that we need to be emotionally comfortable with a person, again, sharing the same values and cultural tropes, or at least ones that are workable and realistic before we make a connection with a person. Sometimes you are indecisive about your relationship, moon in Libra. Other times you're jealous and possessive of your mate. And this is the Venus in Scorpio. Although I wouldn't necessarily say, it's just more of intensity. You have a deep intensity and you reflect deeply through the moon in Libra on what the other person's putting off. You're very sensitive, and your own emotional passions could overblow your perception of when your partner is talking to somebody and they're enjoying the conversation, and it seems like, how much are they enjoying it? Ultimately, though, you'll only be jealous if you have an affliction to the moon or Venus. If there's something going on, if Saturn is conjunct to either of the two, Saturn's in Scorpio with that Venus especially, that would bring out some definite jealousy for sure. If there's any afflictions to the moon of any sort, or if the moon is just generally ill-placed, if it's a malefic moon, and this is pretty close to debilitation, this moon. The moon in Libra is close to, sorry, my brain just had a brain fart. The moon in Libra is still close to Scorpio, which means that it is, remember, exaltation and debilitation work by proximity, not by sign. So this moon in Libra loves to serve, but it almost can be a bit selfish about how it does that. Now, if this moon is also malefic, and again, if it's afflicted in other ways, then this can be a selfish need and desire to be passionately catered to by your partner, and to passionately feel like you are that partner's only intense, passionate connection. They can have many social connections. I don't care. So do I, as moon in Libra. But I don't want to see you get too intense with anybody else, because I push very hard to feel like I'm that intense and good connection for you. And, you might feel like somebody else doing that would really gum your game, Ultimately, again, if you have no afflictions to that moon and Venus, then you really shouldn't have anything to worry about, because the partner is not coming to you for your need. You simply vibe what you are, and your partner likes what you are, and they come to you and they trust you, and you can trust them, and that's all that needs to be. So you can be jealous and possessive, or at least intense with your mate. In the bedroom, ultimately, you know what your lover wants, and you are more than capable of providing it. Moon in Libra knows what they want. Venus in Scorpio, very capable of providing it. So I hope that gives you guys a good idea of how this sign combination is bound to play out. It's a good one, and it's a juicy one. I'm Dustin Cormier for How to Rock Astrology. This has been Moon in Libra with Venus in Scorpio. Hope you guys enjoyed this series. Let me know in the comments what you think. See you next time.